Bhakti Facebook listeners. This is Facebook Live, and obviously I'm me. Who else could I be? Here I am at the BMG offices. That's our record label. Picture of Bowie in the background. Always good omen. And today is the release of Life. I nearly said Tribes. Life. Yeah, which was Tribes. Now it's Life. And I listened to the album on Spotify this morning while I was getting doing my makeup to go and do some radio promo, and it's really exciting to hear all the tracks, you know, the way they've been laid out. It's interesting because there was a lot of conversation about the track listing, and the two songs that were the hardest to place were God and Love and Life, and also Oil and Water, because they sort of stand out. So I decided that we go for the most kind of radical sounding track to open the album, God and Love, and I also like the way that it opens, Here We Are Now. So it's like an introductory kind of line to the album, and in a funny sort of way. I mean, I'm always writing about emotions, a lot of stuff about God, as you know, if you followed me, and love and its many discontents. Although these days I try to look at love from a slightly more Morrissey angle. But God and Love is really about, in fact, that was really influenced by a Massive Attack track. There's that track that goes, love is a verb, love is a doing word. So a lot of people have picked up on the reference to Massive Attack, and that is deliberate. I hope they don't mind. And you know, the whole subject of God and Love is about how it's all very nice to say you love someone or that you're spiritual, but you have to show people that you're spiritual. Shall I take this off? Get naked. You can see my little safety pins, yeah, clutching my pearls. So in the background, God and Love, which is kind of, you know, a sort of interesting opening to the album, because it doesn't necessarily tell you what the rest of the album is going to be like, you know, because it's such a sort of standalone track and probably the most modern track on the record. One of the reviews the other day said that it was a very 70s sounding album, and I agree with that part of the review, not the rest of it. Thank you, Simon Price. Your review was more of an aside than a review, but my policy is never trust a Libran. And the review said that, first of all, calling the album Boy George and Cultural was superfluous, and that it was very 70s. So I tweeted to Simon Price and said, I'm superfluous and I live in the 70s like your hair, which I think was a really good comment. So yeah, I'm really excited about this album being out. It's really exciting to be with BMG and to have, you know, the might of them kind of promoting what we're doing. And yeah, this feels really legitimate and exciting, and lots of really exciting things to come. We've just recorded a version of Runaway Train with Gladys Knight, which is beyond gorgeous, soul gospel moments. I'm excited about that, and that will be the next single after Life. We've also just recorded a stripped down version of Life, which is much more raw, and we've done an amazing video with Rankin, which is going to be launched very soon, and that's going to have some real surprises in it. Me revealing things I don't normally reveal. So, oh, the other thing I wanted to do, I wanted to pretend to be Joan Rivers and pretend I'm on QVC or something like that. This is the deluxe album, and there was a sticker on it, but I took it off. And this is so exciting to, you know, to be back in a time where we actually have product and not just like downloads and streams, but to actually have physical product like CDs. There's even a cassette. CDs and cassettes are coming back, which is exciting because I always used to love getting an album and reading the credits and reading the thank yous and reading the lyrics, and just it's such a much more kind of involved process when you have physical product. And I hope you will go out and buy the record or steal it if you can't.
We okay for some questions?
Yeah, let's go. I'm just rambling because I you know, you told me to.
We have got loads and loads of comments. Can we just say a big hello to Pete, to Barney, to Kevin, to Carmen, hi to all those guys and everybody tuned in. Here's a few questions. So first of all, from Pam, cheers to the release of your new album Life. I'm so thrilled. what was the inspiration behind the album?
Hi, Pam. Well, the album is really a tribute to the 1970s, which was the decade where I sort of discovered not only myself, but also music, fashion, you know, obviously through David Bowie in the early 70s to, you know, early lovers rock reggae, Johnny Nash, Susan Cadogan, Ken Booth, in, you know, then kind of ragga music, you know, disco, punk rock, electro. I mean, the 70s was the most bonkers decade for sort of genres of music, and so much happened in the 70s that I do feel that I am particularly a child of the 70s, and I think the 70s created the 80s. So yeah, you've got a really long answer, Pam. I've done Pam. Next.
Okay, next question. Say big hello to Charlene. She says, what would you have been if you didn't become famous?
Oh my God, lonely. Charlene, I don't know really whether, you know, because people tell me that when I was obviously starting out in this business that I was, you know, desperate to be famous. I think the truth of it was I was desperate to be loved. I wanted people to love me. I wanted people to like me because I'd grown up as a kid being made to feel like an outsider. And so I really wanted people to like me. And I guess I wanted a voice, hence sort of becoming a singer. And, you know, at this point of the game, it's more about ideas than ever. You know, I love the sort of exchange of ideas. I love to make people feel something. When I'm doing a live show, I want people to feel things. I don't want anyone to walk away and not feel like they've engaged emotionally. So, you know, all sorts of reasons.
Say hello to Karen. She says she can't wait to see you. Will you be touring Australia?
Hi, Karen. Well, I'm coming back to Australia to do The Voice in February, and I am going to be doing, I don't know whether I'm going to be doing Culture Club shows there, but I'm definitely going to be doing something because after these dates with Culture Club, I'm doing some solo dates with my band, We Are Brando. So there'll be small gigs, sweaty, intimate, and they're happening soon. So I know I shouldn't really be talking about that, but you know me, I'm very random. And also you can get We Are Brando on Spotify and iTunes. They've got 2 amazing EPs out and I helped write them, so I can highly recommend them. By them too.
Meg says she loves Runaway Train, and Emma also says she loves Runaway Train. Will it get a release?
Well, it's very exciting because we have just recorded a version of Runaway Train with the goddess Gladys Knight, and it is beyond. And I'll just make sure this is off. Yeah, so that will be the next release in the new year, and for me, Runaway Train with Gladys Knight is, I think, is the game changer for me. I think it's really important, and you know, something I've wanted to do since I was a kid. I've loved her voice from like 1972 right through to now. She's one of my favourite singers of all time, and to record with her was just bliss. Bliss.
Rebecca asks, how does it feel returning to The Voice Australia for the 3rd year in a row? And will you be releasing replicas of your Sue Clowes outfits, including the hobo?
Sue Clowes? No, what I'm wearing now has got nothing to do with Sue Clowes, although she's amazing. Yeah, I don't know. No, I won't. I don't understand that question.
She wants to buy your fashion. Will you be releasing a fashion line?
Maybe. I don't know, really. Quite like the idea of sort of people not being able to get what you wear. I do sell a few of my designs on Redbubble and on Rajon under the name Boylesque or Boyhoo. So if you want to get some of my tees, I know it's really like shopping channels today. Maybe that's this on Facebook. You're going to get like arrested for like self-promotion. I've never done anything like that. It's so sordid.
Trevor says, when will the music video for the title track Life be released? I think it's absolutely beautiful.
It is beautiful. And we have just shot a video with Ranking, who's an incredible photographer and filmmaker. And I'm just waiting to see the first cut of that. Really excited about that. And it's going to be full of some quite interesting surprises for you. I do some things that I've never done before.
Michelle asks, what is your favourite venue to play?
I think we played this place in Jersey. What's the place in Jersey? Bronze something Park. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, that's really embarrassing. But I love all gigs, really. The venue is one thing, but the crowd is really the gig. Making the connection with the crowd, you know, kind of getting them involved in what you're doing. That's really fun. So I'm not fussed. I mean, obviously, different venues have different sound, and so sometimes you have these incredible venues, but the sound's terrible for us on stage. And sometimes you see me messing around with my ear and moaning and going over to the sound guy because I'm trying to fix the sound. But I just think for me, the audience is the gig. You know, if the audience have a great time, that's all that matters, really.
Adrian asks, were there any songs on the album that you had to fight to get onto the final track listing?
No, not on this one. Only Karma Chameleon historically was the song that I had to fight Roy, John and Mikey to put on the album, and I was obviously right. Paid for it was like everyone's houses, so obviously. So no, not on this one. Not this one. We were pretty much in agreement. There are some songs that we'll put on another record because they're great, but I think this one is quite succinct. You know, it kind of works, and I'm really happy with everything that's on there. Yeah, really happy. I'm just looking at the track listing here, and of course, not only you can buy the vinyl, and it's open. Look at that beautiful picture of John Moss looking like a French film star. The band, and vinyl. I think there's coloured vinyl as well, even, and with yellow, colour of sunshine. And then I've got all my beautiful artworks on here, which are kind of very childlike, but that's my style. Yeah, so exciting.
There's loads and loads of comments coming in. I just want to say hello to Dee, Paul, Peach, Serena Rose, and James Ross, amongst a few other people.
All of you, I can't remember all your names, but God bless you all, every single last one of you, and your mothers.
Got a question from Lorraine Stokes. She says, if you could duet with anybody, who would it be?
Well, my big one was always David Bowie. Unfortunately, you know, that's not going to happen, but Gladys Knight was my next, you know, the other person that I've always wanted to sing with, and I've just done that, and it was just exactly what I thought it would be. It was just beyond beautiful, so that's coming. But I met Seasick Steve, carefully you say that this morning, and I was like, I want to do something with you. I want to do like some blues. It'd be amazing to, you know, because he's got this one guitar that's got that one string on it, and he makes so much noise with it. He's got the sass. I mean, I don't know if he was being honest, but I said I'd love to do a track with you, so we'll see. Watch this space. But yeah, I'm up to working with anyone. My ultimate person I would love to work with, ultimate more than anyone, is Dr. Dre. Imagine that mess.
Got a question from Georgia Hunt. She says, which song on the album has the most meaning and feeling for you?
They all do. I mean, What the Sorry Mean is a big one. It was inspired by a relative of mine. And it is a real, when we do it live, there's only some places that you can play it, because if it's not a listening audience, it's a really difficult song to perform, you know, because when songs are very sad and, you know, kind of detailed, you do have to engage emotionally with them. And, you know, I find like really, really sad songs are the hardest to perform because, you know, some people get really uncomfortable with like melancholy and sadness. I love it personally. I think if you're going to write a sad song, you know. And Oil and Water is quite significant to me. It reminds me a little bit of a sort of James Bond theme. You know, it's quite Bowie-esque in places and quite dramatic, and I love that song. But also More Than Silence. I mean, what Future Cut have done with More Than Silence is really exciting as well and interesting. So yeah, and for once actually we've made a record that I'm happy with all of it. There's nothing I'd change. There's, you know, yeah, I'm happy with it. I mean, we had time to really invest everything we needed to in it, and I think it's a really strong record, and may it have a long, long life, you know.
Samantha says Karma Chameleon was released in July '83, the same month that she was born.
Hi, you're so young. What's her name?
It is Samantha.
Hi, Samantha. What was out the year I was born? Can't remember. But I do have the same birthday as Donald Trump, 14th of June. Che Guevara, Donald Trump, Alan Carr, and Paul O'Grady. What was going on that night? What kind of odd eclipse was going on? Mental.
Francis asks, how was the making of this album different than the making of any of your previous albums?
Well, you know, we wrote all the songs before, you know, going into the studio, so everything was written. And I was in Australia for some of the recordings, so I had to trust that the guys were going to get on with it and be respectful to what we've written. And some songs were completely changed. I mean, Runaway Train, some of you may have heard us do it on tour a couple of years ago, and it was, you know, almost a Johnny Cash tribute. And then when I heard what Future Cut had done, it was so different. It took a minute for me to kind of really get my head around it. Also, Rest in Bitch Face was originally quite Stonesy, and that's become more of a sort of funk fest, which I love. And interestingly, when we were recording that, originally the vocal was in a very different kind of time pocket, and Roy said, why don't you try a different approach, which I did, and it ended up sounding a bit more Bowie-ish. Reminds me a little bit of like stuff on Station to Station or Young Americans.
Got a few more comments coming in. Carrie says Dre and Boy George would be epic.
It would be so wrong, it would be so right. And you know, I'm really only interested in working with people that are gonna, you know, bring out something, you know, unique, or, you know, just, I didn't know much about Dr. Dre until I watched the movie, what's the movie called? The Defiant Ones. I was a total ignoramus, and I was like, oh my God, when I watched it, I was so impressed, and yeah, just realized I knew nothing about what he did and what he is, and I was blown away by it, yeah.
Got a question from Sandra. She says, what do you think of your fans that have been following you for more than 30 years? For me, it feels like having you as a friend since forever and ever. Love
Who's
you.
that from?
That's from Sandra.
Oh, Sandra, you are my friend. I don't really like the term fans because first of it's short for fanatical. I would say that it is so beautiful when you see someone that's like followed you, and there are a bunch of people that like even flew to Australia when I was doing The Voice. Christine, Sybil, the two Christines, Klaus, you know, Dawn, you know, amazing that they came all that way to support me. And yeah, you do often say to yourself, what did I ever do to deserve this? But it's beautiful and it is appreciated. Although last week somebody rang my doorbell at 8 o'clock in the morning to thank me for writing Time Clock My Heart, and I thought that was a little bit of a delayed response. And I was like, that's really beautiful, but I'm in bed. It's the weirdest, like, hi, is that George? I went, yeah, just want to thank you for writing Time Clock My Heart. So, oh, that's really sweet. I'm actually in bed, so I'm going back to bed. But hi.
I've got a question from Lynn Miller. Lynn asks, would you ever consider doing a duets record?
Do you know what? I was just talking to C6 Steve about this, saying you should do a duets record, and I would. I mean, yeah, I would do it, but I think I'd like to write new songs, though. You know, I'm not. You know, I want to write new stuff. I mean, that's what an artist does. You know, so people often say, "Well, why have you made a new record?" I'm like, "Well, it's what we do." You know, I have to have new music. It's good. You know, one of the good things about the tour in America was that people wrote about the new music and they were very complimentary, and they said that it sat well with our classic hits. So I'm pleased to hear that.
Got a question from Michelle Duffy. She asks, what advice, if any, would you give to someone who is just starting out?
Well, I think if you're really a truly amazing artist and entity, you probably won't listen to anything I have to say in terms of advice. I'll just go back to when I started out, you know, with Culture Club. I was so belligerent and just, you know, so sure about what I wanted to do. And I think that, you know, obviously you have to have something unique or just to be so good at what you do that there's nothing else you can envisage yourself doing. Self-belief, patience, you know, you have to be a little bit bloody minded and you have to be sort of persistent. But I think the best artists are people that invest of themselves emotionally in what they do. You know, all my favorite artists are people that write about things that mean something to them. And, you know, we do live in an age now where a lot of music is very stylized, and there is a sense of us living in a time of kind of production over substance where, you know, I like artists that kind of just reveal who they are, like Amy Winehouse to a certain extent. I mean, Adele does that as well. I think that she writes about her life, and for me, they're my favorite types of artists. So that's what I want to be, and that's what I would encourage you to be. That was not an answer.
Got a question from Irene Stewart. She asks, is writing and performing your music now more fulfilling than when it was when you were younger in the 80s?
Well, yes, I do enjoy it more. I mean, I suppose I had a kind of attitude shift, you know, maybe about 10 years ago, where I suddenly realized, I think two things. That I realized this thing that I created, Boy George, was not going to go away. And, you know, it's sort of what I wanted and what I created. So I needed to start enjoying it. And I think that's really good advice to any artist, is that you need to respect your craft. You need to sort of regard the live situation, the stage, as a kind of sacred place, and to, you know, give people as much joy as you can. You know, one of my favorite people is this guru called Dandipani, and he talks about, you know, how we, you know, need to kind of focus our energy on things that are positive and helpful and, you know, kind of loving. I talk a lot about the frequency of love, and I think that's what Culture Club works with. And at this point, I'm going to be very Joan Rivers and go, look, you could even wear them as an earring. What about in your hat or a necktie or maybe coasters? But take the CD out first, obviously.
I've got a question from Sherry. She says, or asks, who convinced you to dig deeper and get more personal in your songwriting?
I think I've always been. Well, if you listen to my solo work, I think that started a while ago when I was doing Taboo and stuff that I've done since then. But my early stuff was also quite personal, but maybe a little bit more ethereal. You know, maybe people didn't realise what a Karma Chameleon was, or they'd never been to the Church of the Poison Minds, or, you know, they didn't really. I suppose I used to mask my lyrics more, and now they're a bit more in your face. But I also want to leave room for the listener to kind of invent their own stories. You don't have to take everything I do literally. Steve Hall is asking me why it's Boy George and Culture Club. A lot of people are asking me that. Oh, I've got a massive head and a big hat. It's terribly vain. I think I'll say that a few years ago, Culture Club tried to replace me. So it's really just my way of saying I'm Culture Club. My name's Boy George. So that is the reason. Any more?
There's loads of comments coming in. They're so quick. Yoko Fuji says, hi George, can't wait to see you in Manchester and Hull. When will you be coming to Japan? Lots of Japanese fans are waiting for you.
I love Japan. I mean, I joked the last time I was there that I could literally spend my entire career playing in Japan. I love the whole atmosphere of Japan. It's such a beautiful country to visit. And also, you know, because I practice Nichiren Buddhism, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, I feel like it's my spiritual home. So when I go to Japan, it's kind of such a beautiful thing for me. And the last time I went to Japan, I was, you know, received so beautifully, and I I didn't have any trouble at customs. I was like, chanting works, it works. So yeah, I look forward to coming to Japan, and I also want to bring my band, We Are Brando, to Japan. I think you're going to love them. I think you're going to fall in love with them. They're beautiful, sweet English boys, and they'll go down well in Japan. So I want to bring them too.
Michelle says, my first vinyl album I ever bought was Colour by Numbers. I saved up my pocket money and bought it when it was released.
Thank you. What's her name again? Emma?
It was Michelle Harkness.
Hello, Michelle Harkness. Well, thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. And I hope you will find your way to buying a new one.
I had a question from Yvonne as well. She's asking, what was the first record that you ever bought?
I think the first record I ever bought was Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves by Sonny and Cher. And then I remember buying a record called Yellow River by Christie. And I was a big Lindisfarne fan, so I used to buy... I loved music when I was a kid. I mean, you know, I used to go to our local record shop, and we used to have these listening booths. And I would go, and they would throw me out, because I would just go listen to loads of records, and I wouldn't have any money to buy anything. So, yeah. I have actually a copy of Here, There and Everywhere by Emmylou Harris. It's still cracked from about 1974. And I've still got it, and it still works. Oh no, I've logged out. Log in. We've gone off. Get back.
Hang on. No, you're good.
Oh.